here to witness a debate between the Sauder School of Business from the University of British Columbia and the Faculty of Business from Simon Fraser University. The proposition is that without the outside pressure, corporations will not take meaningful actions on sustainability. The UBC debate team will take the proposition side, while the SFU debate team will take the opposition side. So now you guys can introduce yourselves.
Nicole, Cam, Garrett,
UBC debate team.
I'm Danae.
Charles.
During this debate, Dr. David Thomas, Professor of International Management at SFU Business, and Colleen Collins, Associate Dean and Academic Director at SFU, as well as Shaheen Benrian, Vice President of the SFU Economic Student Society, will be our judges. Finally, tonight we also have Phil Hanley, who is the 2006 Vancouver Common Competition winner. So let's get started right away.
I'm a little short, so I don't know if everyone here can see. The screen is not too comfortable with looking at me, and it doesn't have anything on it. But anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, fellow opposition, adjudicators, my fellow teammates, the motion as it stands before the House stands that this House, without pressure, that without outside pressure, corporations, i.e. Chris Brown, will not take meaningful action on sustainability, i.e. Rihanna. This is how we've chosen to define this motion. That is a joke. That is a joke. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, but on a serious note, the motion is that without outside pressure, corporations will not take meaningful action on sustainability. This is a very broad topic, ladies and gentlemen, and we've spent hours trying to really bring it down so that it can have some focus coming into this debate. Before I get into defining this motion word by word, I'd just like to clearly state on the surface, as it stands motion, what exactly this means. And this is that we'd like that the side proposition is of the belief that without some force from outside systems, corporations will not act in the best interest of society, but rather will strive to maximize their bottom line, which is profit. And as business school students and economic students and any student really, you should be able to understand this basic concept. Going into the definitions, firstly, let's touch on the issue of sustainability. What do we mean by meaningful action on sustainability? Sustainability can again be broadly defined, and Wikipedia goes into addressing social, economic, and environmental sustainability. However, we would like to define this motion and bring it down to focusing on corporate environmental sustainability. And we believe that by focusing on this, we can better address the issue of carbon dioxide emissions. So just to clarify that we are debating corporate environmental sustainability and specifically carbon dioxide emissions. Excuse me. Now with that said, let's get into defining the corporations. What do we mean by corporations? We're looking, because we're going to focus on carbon dioxide emissions, it only makes sense that we look at industries that actually are major violators of carbon dioxide emissions. And so what we've done again is we've defined the corporations as being companies in the oil industry. Third out of the four terminology we're going to define is what do we mean by meaningful action? And this is a very simple term, and by that we just mean that companies, all companies in the oil industry must be making meaningful and conscious effort to reduce their carbon dioxide emissions through investment in efficient machinery and in innovative operational methods. The last terminology that we'd like to just define so that we can send this debate is what do we mean by outside pressure? By that we imply government and international institutions that set standards and measures for sustainability and that set imposing taxes and providing tax credits to companies depending on their amount of carbon dioxide emissions. Now, I spent quite a bit of time defining the motions piece by piece. What I'd like to do then is just bring that together and say more clearly now what is this debate going to be about, given how we as proposition believe we should define this motion. We are here going to debate whether profit-making and profit-hungry oil companies would really act in the interest of the environment if there is no government intervention in their business processes. We as a side proposition are on the side that given the competitiveness of the market and given the elasticity of oil, and also of course the mandate of the companies to please their investors, our side believes that the oil companies really have no incentive to really go green and become sustainable as we have defined. Now, I hope with that said that it sets out and makes clear what it is that we are here to debate. And our side is going to come and conclusively prove to you without any shadow of doubt that without this aspect of outside pressure, that companies really have no incentive to move towards being environmentally sustainable. And so with that, what we are saying is that if indeed we want to make effort to get oil companies to be more sustainable in terms of environment, we are going to need our outside intervention. And I just want to conclude by saying what kind of outside pressures have been imposed in other countries and some here in Canada. What we mostly see in parts of the world are tax credits and high taxes on oil companies depending on their emissions of carbon dioxide. This, however, I must elaborate, is not quite going to be our focus of the debate. The debate here is going to be whether we need that pressure, but not so much so what kind of pressure. What we are saying is that as companies stand as they are, they will not act in the interest of the environment. Their bottom line is all about profit. And so we must again reinstate the fact that we're going to need to push for outside pressure in order for oil companies to move towards being sustainable in terms of the environment, i.e. also reducing their carbon dioxide emissions and moving towards investing in greener machinery and making their process of extracting oil more environmentally friendly. And with that, I'd like to challenge our opposition rather to come and argue what we presented. Thank you.
All right, before I begin, I'd like to thank the member opposite for his comments, and also like to express our appreciation to the IGA Association for holding this debate, also to the adjudicators, to the audience members attending, and last but not least, our members opposite. So what I'd like to do is list out three reasons why this proposition does not fully embody the idea of what corporations need to do to make meaningful change in sustainability. And the way I'm going to do this is presenting you with 3 points. I'm going to introduce my first point, which is basically 2 points. One being external versus internal pressure. Where is the line drawn? And the second point being, who are the drivers of change within organizations? And then my colleagues will come up and introduce their points, which will be wonderful. So my first point. My first point is, where is the line? Or sorry, we'll talk about organizations. What are organizations? Now, my colleague opposite has identified organizations as being profit-making evil machines, basically. These machines that are out for profit only, ruthless, with no concern for the environment. We would submit, on the other hand, that organizations are simply made up of people. People make up corporations. These are what ordinary people, everyday ordinary people, working for the corporations, working for organizations. So it is wrong-headed then to think that corporations in themselves are necessarily good or evil. There's no inherent attribute within a corporation that makes it good or evil. They are simply the vehicles for making money or accomplishing goals for investors by providing useful goods to consumers. So when we think of the people that make up the aspects of the corporation, we have to think of everyday, ordinary Canadians. The mothers, the fathers, the people that are working, could be for the oil companies, could be for not-for-profit organizations, could be for any corporation. These are regular people. So we need to come away from that idea of evil, profit